and they are the things that will drive every other thing that we want to do. This implies that if you want to create a report, the beautiful things, that's what people would see. But there are a lot of work that will go in the background, which is what we have looked at. When it comes to you cleaning up your data, when it comes to you modeling your data, before you then now get to you visualizing your data. So essentially what you do when you visualize is that you want to make obvious to people what they can see on the data set. So when people are looking at the raw data set, apparently there is nothing they would see from it. So they're looking at individual transactions. Sadiq bought 5 loaves of bread on the 21st of February 2022 at Gogolada at 1 p.m. and like that. All those details are meaningless as they are. It is for you as an analyst to visualize that data set, and it's only at that time that you would now be able to communicate some things that are happening within the data to your end users. And that is where the beauty of visualization comes in. So visualization enables us to give to people ideas about some things. Edward Tufte is one of the fathers of visualization, if not the father of visualization. He mentioned in one of his quotes, if I would be able to recall that, he said that graphical excellence is we communicating the greatest number of ideas in the least possible time, in the shortest possible time, in the least space, or with the least space in the least ink or something like that. So what it's saying is that when we say that you have a graph, the essential thing that you should bear in mind is that you want to communicate some ideas. There are certain things that you have seen that you want to communicate to people, and you want to do that in the shortest possible time, so that when people are looking at your report, immediately they set their eyes on the report, they are able to spot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 insight just very quickly like that, or information, so to put. And you try to do that in the least space available. And that is you seeing your pages of report can actually have the report condensed on 10 pages. So it's not that you're creating a clutter. Can we still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can hear you.
So I got a notification that my internet is unstable, so that's why I had to confirm. So it's not a situation that we're trying to overload the page of report, or we're trying to make things busy. No. What we're trying to do is that you want to ensure that your users do not necessarily need to flip through too many pages before they get to the information they want. If that is what they would want to do, flipping through too many pages before they get to the information, they can actually do that on their raw data. So they don't need to have somebody create a report for them if they are willing to spend much time exploring and finding things out themselves. So that is the essence of data visualization. And for data visualization, whenever you want to visualize, there are a couple of things that people would use. What are the things that people use to visualize? Not tools. So assuming that you want to visualize in Excel, for instance, what are the things that you would use to visualize in Excel? What are the things you use to visualize in Excel? Anybody?
Hello, boss. Did you say things that are used in visualize?
Yes, please.
Okay, like chat,
Okay, charts. What again?
graph,
Graph. Okay.
I think these are the ones I can mention.
Okay. I'm just thinking, is there a difference between chart and graph? How do we strike a distinction between them?
How do we?
How do we differentiate between them? Chart and graph.
Graph is plotted, and
Okay.
graph is like graphical representation of a segment.
Okay. Segment of
Segment section.
data.
Yes.
Okay. How about chart? What is it?
No, sorry, it was chat. Chat is like to represent a segment of particular data, and chat is sorry, graph is used like like graph is actually used to get like how should I put it, like values and to know they actually plotted to know more like sorry, I actually don't know how to explain it.
Okay. Okay. So in some text, I've read that they use charts and graphs interchangeably. And so sometimes I'm tempted to say that they are the same. But at the same time, I'm also thinking that charts seem to be like the object used in visualization, while the graph is the result. I don't know if that makes sense to us.
Please come again.
So I'm thinking that charts is the object you're using in visualization. So your pie chart is an object. Your bar chart is an object for visualization. So I'm thinking that is a chart. But when we are done visualizing, what we see, the result, is a graph, which is a visual representation of the data itself. But the elements on it that we have used, they are individual charts. Does that make sense to us?
Yes, I'm following up.
You're following, but you're confused, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me do something. Let me see if I can get a blank Excel very quickly. So if I come here and I just say something like A, B, C, and I call this text, and I say value, and I do 12, 15, 13, and I come to this guy, and I plot a chart here, or I set a chart. So what I have here, this object that we can see here is the chart. But what we are looking at is a graph. So graph would come out of charts. So chart is the object that will produce a graph. So graph is like the visualization of this data is the graph that we can see here. But the object that we have behind it, if I just come here and I insert a pie here, this is meant to be a pie chart, okay, which is just an object. It has no data now, so it's not communicating anything. But when we have some data on it, then it becomes a graph. So which is a graphical representation of your data. But the object that you would use to produce that is a chart. Does this make sense now?
Yes.
Okay. So whenever we are visualizing our data, there are two options we have really. We have the options of tables, or we use charts. We use tables or we use charts. There are certain reasons why you would want to use a table in your report. I will just quickly give us some things on the eye level so that we can proceed into something else. For you to use tables in your reports, you sometimes have requirements that says that they want to see precise values. Precision is needed. How is the spelling of precision? Precision is needed. So you want to see precisely how much was our revenue at ProEyes in the last fiscal year. So whenever you want to see precise figures, then tables are your best bet. The second reason why you want to use tables is if you want to do some comparison. How am I spelling this morning? Comparison based on precise values. So we want to see something like we have regions, for instance. So we have products. Sorry, let me do something like this. We have product A, product B. Okay, so we have this, and then we have our region, northeast, north central, north south, northwest, and then we have for product A, and all of these, we made some sales between these amounts. So okay, between 10, 20. All right, so we have these figures. So whenever we want to get precise values, and we want to make comparison based on precise values. So we want to compare how much we're getting from product A and product B from each of these regions. So we want to see for Northeast, how much did we make in our product A line and product B line? And we are doing this comparison based on the precise figures, then go on to use tables. The other reason why we want to use tables is there are many data categories. Please bear with my spellings. I don't know what's happening. So there are many data categories. Okay, so if you have many data categories, for instance, you have product A, product B, product C, product D, and the likes of those. Although sometimes like this, you may still want to use a chart, but I will tell you why you would want to use a chart in a situation like this. But at the bottom line, at the baseline is when you have too many data categories that you want to visualize on a single chart, then you should go on to use a table. Going to chart, part of the reasons why you want to use a chart is you want to observe trends or patterns. Trends or patterns. So you have, for instance, you have a requirement to visualize the revenue at ProEyes in the last fiscal year. So month-on-month revenue, January down to December, you want to see the trend, then you use a chart for that. The other reason why you want to use a chart is you want to do comparison which is not on precise values, or I just say without precision. You want to see comparison without precision, or you want to explore a large data set to say if there are outliers in the data, or if there are specific values that are just strange. So you may want to do that with a chart as well. If you want to do a sort of part to whole, so you want to check for the contribution of something to the whole. So we want to see what is the contribution of, for instance, in the business, maybe we have 3 sales managers, and we understand that each of the sales managers have contributed to the bottom line, which is our entire revenue. So we want to see what is the contribution of each of the sales team manager to the overall revenue that we have made. So you use a chart for something like that. So let's put it to a halt here. These are some of the reasons why we should use charts or tables in our report. So I'll go straight on to our report now. So this was the data model that we built yesterday. And I'm hoping that we are clear on this now. So this is the Power BI interface. I'm not sure we spoke about this in our earlier classes. Whenever you will launch Power BI, you get into an interface like this. On the left side, we have some icons there. This is the report, this is the data, and this is the model. And these 3 icons are meant to switch between the 3 views that you'll be working on in Power BI. Sometimes you'll be on the report view, and by you being on report view, it means you're ready to start building your report. So you have a report that you want to build, and that will be built here on the white space here. This place that we can see build visuals with your data, this is where we would build our report. And this white space is called the report canvas. So this is the report canvas. This is the design area. The second one here is the data view. Whenever you load data into Power BI, and essentially you have imported data into Power BI, remember that we spoke about 2 query types. It's either you are importing or you are doing a direct query. So when you do an import, which is something typical of your flat files. So flat files, you don't have options for direct query. Direct query is only available for databases. So when you're connecting to your SQL Server, MySQL, or some other database, so you have option to select whether direct query or import. And direct query for SQL Server analysis services is what is called live connection. So it's the same thing. So, but for SQL Server analysis services, you would see an option for live connection. So you can connect live to it, just like the implication of direct query. So we have, if you come to the data view, whatever table that you have loaded into your Power BI, you will see the data here. And by loading into Power BI, we mean that you have imported. So you see the data here, that's all on the data view. On the model view, this is where you see your data model. You see all your tables and how they are related to one another. We spoke a bit about this yesterday. If I come back to my report view, on the tabs, we have a couple of things. So I'm sure we've explored that a bit. If I come to the right side of the screen here, we have some panes. So these are called panes, P-A-N-E-S. We have the fields pane, visualizations pane, we have the filters pane. The fields pane is where you have all your tables. And inside of the table, if you expand any table, you see all the columns that you have access to. And this is essentially where you will be picking whatever you'll be using on your report. We have the visualizations pane, which is where you have all the visuals. These visuals are in 2 categories. We have the standard Power BI visuals, and we have custom visuals. So we have standard visuals and we have custom visuals. So your standard visuals, they are the visuals that Power BI has installed by default. So whenever you're launching a Power BI file, you will get to see some visuals like this. So if you're looking at your own screen, for instance, you observe that you have visuals from the start here up till, say, this point. So the last visual that you should have should be this visual Power Automate. That should be the last visual you have, this Power Automate visual. Any other visual add outside of these that I have here, they are all custom visuals, which means that they are visuals that didn't come with Power BI. So what Power BI has is that it allows for third-party visualizations. And this is done via the community. So there is a Power BI community. On the community, we have individuals who have built their own visuals and they have it published on the community. There are some organizations who have also built visuals and have it published on the community. Such organizations are Zebra BI. So you see, I have some Zebra BI charts. So if I just clean this out, let me see. What is happening to my Zoom now? Okay, so if I come here to this visual now, you see this is a Zebra BI table. This is a Zebra BI card here. This is a Zebra BI chart. So Zebra BI is an organization who have developed their own visualizations and it's out there. What I'm driving out from here is we are not restricted to the default visuals that we have in Power BI. So as you are to, if you're a developer, maybe you write TypeScript, you write Java, C# and some languages, you can build your own visuals as well, publish it on the Power BI community, and then when it's approved by Power BI, it will be available on the marketplace and people can use your visuals. We'll get to how to import new visuals. We have the filters pane. Everyone, can we hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies, please. The internet went off. Okay, so this is something you will not want to do, although there are times that you will want to use the selection pane, you want to use the bookmark, so you can activate them and deactivate some other ones so that things are not just clogged up. But visualizations pane, fields pane, you cannot get rid of them. But any other pane aside from these two, you can get them off. So if I come here, I can close the performance analyzer, I can close the bookmark, I can close the selection pane, even the filters pane, I can close it. But if I click on this, it minimizes it. But if I want it to go off completely, I come to view, I come to the show panes group and I click on filter. So if I click on it here, it goes off. And so whenever we need it, we come here, we click on it, it comes back and like that. So now, this is our report area. We want to start building our report. For best practice or recommended practices, you are expected to do a sort of a mock-up for your report. So the mock-up is something like you have a something like let me say, I should have something here. So you have an outline for your report. You have an outline for your report. That's all you're doing when you are creating a mock-up. So it's a thing of you're trying to, okay, this is something that I created. This is not even the one I wanted to open, but this like a mock-up now, which shows me where I want to have some filters. All these ones will be some buttons here, and then I will have some slicers put here. We'll understand what slicers are. I'll put those here. Then this white space will be where I want my reports to be on. So this is more like a design. So it serves an outline. And so what you do is when you have developed something like this, maybe in PowerPoint, if you're a designer, you can use Figma, Adobe, Canva, whatever is convenient for you. Once you have that designed, you save it as an image and you can come to your Power BI here. When you are here, you come to your visualizations pane. There's a second button here which says format your report page. So you click on that, and then you come to canvas background, and then you come here to image, and you can import that image. So when you import the image, it comes in on the background. So it gives you an outline, and whatever visual you're placing, you'll be placing it right where you have designed it to stay on. So you just place this here, you place this here, and you can play around with this since there's nothing outlining how things would stay here. So it depends on how creative you want to be with reports. I tell people, when it comes to visualization itself, having very beautiful visuals, it doesn't really need a lot of technicality. It's just about being creative. So if you're someone who has a design mindset or a design thinker, you'll be able to do lots more with your visualization. It's you just rearranging things, making things, applying aesthetics on things and stuff. But that is something that I don't dwell on, because I believe that everybody can actually get their ways around it. But we just look at the technical bits, and then whatever has to do with aesthetics, there are things that you will continue to develop. It's a thing, it's a process thing. So it's as much as you're getting to develop reports, you will be better at aesthetics. And if you need inspiration, let me quickly mention that. If you need inspiration on Power BI reports, so you can come to novipro.com. So if you go to novipro.com, you will get some design inspirations there, and those can guide you in the design of your report as well. Just a moment here. Okay, so I have this get build, blah, blah, blah. Then, yes, Power BI design inspirations. There is a way to get into this. So let me see if I still remember my login. It's a free platform to use, so we can always register, sign up here, and then we're good. Sign in. I guess this is the password. I just hope I remember. We didn't find an account with a credential. Sign in with Google. Sign in with this. Okay, I think it's in now. So it's just so that we see how this would look like And then this is also a platform we can use for our portfolios as well. So if you're building a portfolio, you want to see where you can publish your Power BI reports for free, then you can publish it here and share links with people. So we say a lot of reports here that people have published. We see a lot of reports here, so you can get design ideas from this place. Let me just share this link on the chart so that we can play around it at all the time. So I'll get back to my Power BI now. So now, we want to start building our report. The very first thing we want to do is that we already do have the kinds of reports we want to build in mind. So we know that we have a customers table, location table, product, sales team, and fact sales. So let's say very quickly, we want to say what are our individual sales team, maybe sales team manager or sales rep, individual sales rep, how much have they brought into the business? So that might be what we want to quickly explore. So if you want to start, a couple of ways, but very quickly, you might want to come to the visualizations pane, select the visual you want to use first. So if I come here, if you are not sure of the names of the visual, once you hover your mouse on it, it tells you this is an area chart, this is a pie chart here, this is a slicer here, this is a table, this is a matrix, this is a Q&A, and the likes of those. So I'll click on Start Bar Chart, and once I do, you get a placeholder like this. This is a chart. So you can just use the guides around it to resize the way you want it to resize. And so then you come to your fields pane. So I'll come to the sales team table. I'll just check this box. So you're just ticking, check the box. And then we want to see our sales rep by what? So we want to see the revenue individual sales reps are bringing. So I'll come to my facts table, and then I'll come to sales. Yes, sales. So I'll select sales, and immediately we get that rendered on the report. And now it's telling us that organic sales rep is bringing the most revenue. So if you hover your mouse on the bar, you get a tip. So 1.4 million was what we made via organic. Jessica Smith, we made 50,000. So there's some default sorting on the chart. If you want to explore the sorting on the chart, you look at the ellipses here, you have the chart selected, you see 3 dots. If you click on that, you see sort axis, then you can decide to sort it otherwise. We have built a report already. So we might want to see now that, okay, let's look at, maybe we want to look at our location. We want to see revenue by region, for instance. So let me add another column chart, and then I'll just bring this to the side. And as you're dragging around, you see that you get some guides. So if it's not where you want it to be yet, you can still adjust things. So I'll come here to my location, I'll select region, and then I'll come to my facts table, and I'll select sales. And to point to us, the only reason why we are selecting things from different tables and we are getting results is because of the fact that we did our model correctly. I'll do something very quickly on the model. So I'll come here to the product table, I'll do a right click, and I'll delete this relationship here. So I'll come back to my report view. Then I'll add a new work page here, so we can add as many work pages. Then I'll select a column chart. And then I'll come to my product table. I want to say the product subcategory, for instance. Let's say the product category. I want to say how much you're making from individual product categories. And let's look at this by the revenue. What did we notice here? Anybody? What do we think?
We didn't get any clear information.
There is no clear information. For this to be clear to us, so that we see exactly what's happening, I will turn this into a table. So I'll turn this into a table. Then let me quickly increase the size. I'll just make this a 20. See what we have. It's clearer now, right?
Yes.
So what do we have now? What do we think is happening here? Anyone wants to try? What do we think is happening?
They all have the same value.
Perfect. The values were not broken down. Power BI is unable to break down the values to see that how much precisely did we make from furniture? How much precisely did we make from office supplies? How much precisely did we make from technology? The only reason why this is happening is because remember that this table is visualizing from two different tables. We have a products table, which is the first column. The values that we have here, they are coming from the facts table. These two tables are not speaking to themselves. This is my products table standing alone. This is my facts table. They are not talking to themselves. So there is no way we would be able to break down values from the fact by something or a category that is coming from the dimension table. And that is something that we need to know. So whenever you're visualizing and you observe that your numbers or your categories are returning the same numbers, the very first thing you need to go and check is to look at your data model. Is there, do we have two tables that are not related? If that is the case, the relationship is what is causing that, and you need to go and fix that. At other times, if you have such, it might mean that you have an issue with kind of relationship. Hopefully we'll look at this when we get to our DAX class. So now, if I just come here now, remember that the key here is the product ID. Product ID. So I'll just pick my product ID and I'll drop it on the product ID. Here's the product ID. So I'll pick this guy and I'll drop it here. So once that is connected and done correctly, if I go back to my report, immediately we now see that that works. So now we have the actual value for technology, actual value for furniture and office supply. Why is this working now? Because our two tables, they are now able to speak to one another. So our D product can now filter the facts. Okay, so let's get back to this. So we have two charts here already. We may want to add a few more and we want to do some formatting. Of course, we can go on to explore and explore and explore. So you just need you to look at the table and then you see what you want to get from it. So for instance, let's say here now, I want to look at, maybe I want to look at customer segment. I can pick it and drop it here. And I want that to be a donut chart. And so then I want to see how much profit are we making from the customer segment. And so this is a sort of a part to all thing. Okay, so we have this here. So we can go on to explore and explore. But if I come here now, this chart, we may want to make things look slightly nicer. So this one, let me just push it here and then I'll bring this here. So what I've just done is just to resize. That's all I've done. So what I would do is whenever you want to format a chart, you need to have the chart selected. The chart has to be selected. And when the chart is selected, then you go to your visualizations pane here. If I click out of the chart, if I click anywhere on the white space, notice that I have two icons here. The first one is the visualizations icon itself. The second one is format your report page. So which means that whenever you have nothing selected on your report page, you have access to format the report page. So you can change things about the report page. Whenever you have any chart selected, then the options that you have becomes 3. So you have an option to select a chart. So if at the moment that I have a chart selected like this, if I go on to select any chart here, it will change that chart, it will override it. So we need to be aware of that. So if you want to add a new chart, ensure that you click out first before you go to your visualizations pane to select another chart. Otherwise, if you have a chart selected and you come to your visualizations pane and you click on a new chart, it would change the chart that you have selected. So when we have this, you have this selected like this. You'll notice that we have 3 different icons here. We have the normal visualizations icon. Then this one changes to format your visual. So if I click on this now, I can now have access to formatting my visual. This formatting pane is something that we need to be familiar with so that we don't waste so much time. But the trick here is that whatever you want to change on the chart, there is a keyword for it here. If we're looking at this chart that we have here, it has 2 axes. The x-axis is the horizontal, the y-axis is the vertical. So if I want to change anything on the y-axis, maybe this axis title here, maybe the font size, maybe anything that has to do with this y-axis, then I need to come to format your visual. I'll come to the y-axis here. So if I expand the y-axis, I would have access to all the options that affect the y-axis. So you see that we have a title for the y-axis. If I collapse this, I didn't see that title prior, so I need to expand it. Then I can see the title. If I switch it off, then the title goes off. That's a title for the y-axis. Then I can come to the font. I can change the font if I want to make this bold for some reasons. I don't know why you want to do that. And then the font size, maybe I want to make that a 12. Okay. Maybe that's what we want to do. So in essence is that you can go on to apply formatting depending on where you want to format. So if you want to change the color of this, maybe want to make this something like this, I don't know. You see that has changed. So that's affecting the y-axis alone. So let's assume now that you want to format something on the x-axis. So we want to take off this title as well. And this title is actually redundant because the chart title already says sales by sales rep. So we don't need this again. Everybody knows that these are the sales figures. So we need to come to the x-axis, expand it, come to the title, switch it off, and that's gone. And these values that we have here, if you want to take them off, and maybe you want the values to be in front of the bars, then what you need is just to come to this x-axis and switch it off completely. And that will take off that value. Then we want to change something on these bars. So it's very intuitive. You just come here down to the bars, expand, and say we want to change the color, for instance. Maybe we want to use something like this. I don't know why somebody want to use that. So you have that, and then you can change the spacing as well. It's something we can all play around with. And we want to have the values in front of the bars. So those are called data labels. So you come here to data label and you need to switch it on. So you switch it on, it appears just right in front of your label of your bars. You may want to change the position. So maybe you don't want it to be automatic. Automatic means that it is responsive. So if I go here and I reduce the size of the chart, you see now that the 1.4 million that we had outside, it has gone inside the bar now because we have a lesser real estate, a smaller real estate. So when I expand this, it comes out again.